Hello, good afternoon. This is Celia Lacayo, Associate Director of Community Engagement and a professor here in the African American Studies and Chicano Studies, Central American Studies Department. Today we're highlighting rising scholars here at UCLA. And today we have with us Uriel Serrano, who is currently a UCLA teaching associate housed in the Sociology Department. Hi, Uriel. How are you today?
Good, Celia. Good to be here, and thanks so much for the invitation.
Absolutely. Your work is absolutely cutting edge and looking at various things that are pertinent to our society today. Can you begin and tell us a little bit about the genesis of your dissertation and early research?
Yeah, so my work is mostly concerned with thinking about youth subjectivity and agency across institutional contexts, right? So in educational spaces, community organizing spaces, more broadly, right, in their own communities, and particularly thinking about questions around at the intersections of gender, race, age, um, and more recently, carcerality.
Wonderful. You have a sole authored article where you're talking about students of color and belonging in the university. Tell us about the valuable contributions of that particular article.
Yeah, so this article in sociological perspectives and along with a number of reports that I've co-authored with uh, both community organizers and other students and colleagues, essentially it kind of brings together about 5 6 years of research, really thinking about the role of community organizations in promoting the civic engagement, building community coalition building and queer inclusivity, and then also this really the promotion of this idea, right, building on Martin Luther King of a beloved community for youth of color across the state, right? And so we highlight organizational practices across four institutions in this paper, right? But um, that promote these things, right? That promote a critical civics education, right? That promote the leadership of young youth organizers and activists, and that fosters, right, a really intersectional oriented consciousness, right, and promotes also their leadership development and involvement in social justice issues across the board, right, from or organizing around immigration justice all the way to environmental justice to policing, right, and addressing mass incarceration both in their local, regional context, but also statewide. And so the paper as a whole highlights these practices, right, and the main takeaway, right, is kind of the building also of intergenerational movements and intergenerational coalition building um, across these organizations, right?
Yes, and we definitely gather that from this amazing article that also talks about healing. So I think that this is something that we definitely need to hear more about. Can you also address for us your other, perhaps other projects and other areas of expertise or awards you have received for your amazing work?
Yeah, so my work, I think across broadly as at the intersection of youth studies, right, the sociology or the study of gender and masculinity, um, um, social movement and urban sociology, and most recently, I selected as a fourth dissertation fellow, and then at UC Santa Cruz on my home campus as a UC President's dissertation fellow, and also as a CSU Chancellor's dissertation fellowship, right? And what I'm be able to do with these fellowships and this year funding is really focus on building on some of my earlier work, right? But where and taking my work in future directions and building it to think more broadly about how does carcerality and carceral violence, right, shapes the lives of Black and Latino young men in Los Angeles, where most of my dissertation work is now taking place.
Well, that sounds wonderful, and it's very clear you have a trajectory of many multiple research projects. And as you spoke about, really speaking to movements that are happening now with youth, and very critically, the intersection, which is, there's a huge gap in the literature for that, and we really appreciate that. Is there anything else you want to add or address that is important to your work, that it's important for folks to know?
In terms of future, research and where I'm taking my work now, and I actually have a paper under review right now with a colleague from UC Santa Cruz, where we're really thinking about, we're really in my dissertation and both in collaboration with other colleagues, right, moving beyond these ideas of the school to prison pipeline metaphor or a framework, and to think about carcerality, right, and carceral logics as multifaceted and not just located in prison walls, right? And so one of the things that I'm doing in my future work, right, is really thinking about, for example, notions of safety and protection in schooling context and how they're rooted in carceral anti-Black logics, right? And particularly, right, the last year around the defunding school police movement in Los Angeles has been a particular productive place to think about these things and how safety and protection, or cause for safety and protection, are used to curtail any abolitionist demands from young people, right? And so that's where my work is headed now, is to think about how does carceral violence and experiencing carceral violence shape the emotional and effective lives of youth of color, right? Particularly Black and Latino young men in Los Angeles County.
Wonderful. Well, that is a lot and very rigorous work here at UCLA and your home, UC Santa Cruz. We've been so lucky to hear about your research today, Uriel. We wish you the best. We know you will continue to do amazing research. Again, this is Celia Lacayo with UCLA LA Social Science with our Rising Scholar series, and we will catch you next time. Thank you.